K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? That's right, we are closing out 2015, and that's what this night is all about. We're wrapping things up, and we're ready to hit 2016 like, oh, wow. I mean, 2016 is going to be an incredible year. Don't get me wrong. If you thought 2015 was big, 2016 is going to be even bigger. Well, so that's what tonight is all about. And on top of it, I want to hear back from you guys. Here in just a few seconds, we're opening up the phone lines. We hardly do that, but I'm super excited. We're opening up the lines tonight, and because I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you think were some of the big stories of 2015, whether it was a big story or a good story. I want to hear from you. So the call-in number for tonight is 913-440-4889. Again, that is 913-440-4889. I'm super excited to hear from you guys. So let's just go ahead and get this started, shall we? But before we do, I want to remind you there are a lot of different ways for you to be able to tune in. So wherever you're at, set this channel as a favorite, because the last thing you want to do is get left behind. Trust me, you don't want to get left behind. Not in this day and age. Okay? So, if you have the unfortunate event of missing the show, it's okay. You can catch a replay. We've got incredible affiliates who love replaying the show for us, and I'm super excited, and I'm humbled because they want to do that for us. So sit tight, because there's as many ways as there are to listen to the live show, there are just as many to be able to listen to a replay, or you can subscribe to the podcast, whatever. In the case you aren't already following me on social media, you can do so over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. Again, that is at Stafford Voice. Or you can look me up on the Facebooks. All you got to do is just search for the Stafford Voice, and we can talk a little bit over there. As we put stories up, I would really like to hear some of your guys' feedback, because whether you know this or not, some of you guys have talked for probably 45 minutes, and it was probably one of the most enjoyable conversations that I've had in a long time. So, without further ado, we're just going to go ahead and jump right into some of the things about what happened in 2015. And it looks as though we're probably experiencing a couple of technical issues right now. And, you know, this stuff is live. It happens. So as we continue to work things out, we're just going to talk about some of the biggest stories of 2015. And I've got I wrote down a couple that stuck out to me. I came up with 4, and if you want to hit me up over on the Twitters, I'm seeing things scroll across over there. So if you've got one, shoot it my way. That doesn't make the list. That's okay. I've got the election. By far and wide, this was one of the biggest things that happened in 2015, the election. And it started so early, so much earlier than I think we all anticipated. We've got one or two good, strong conservatives out there who are standing ready to hit that cruise missile. And then we've got little rubies. We've got the Jebediah Bushes. we've got Trump. It is hard to admit that Donald Trump was a big story for 2015. But you can't dismiss him. He was huge. Huge, ladies and gentlemen. Huge. Okay? You would be hard-pressed to find anybody else that would disagree. He actually has a large platform that, if he was to use it correctly, he would be able to do something that would be unprecedented. So, and when I say that, what I'm referring to is he has the possibility of, I don't want to say this and put him in the same category as Reagan, but there's a lot of potential there. There really is. To bring over a lot of Democrats. And he's got an opportunity to open a lot of people up to issues and ideas that have always been pushed aside. And if he's got a chance, he's going to have to play the unifier. It's his only way that he will be able to do it. If he really wants to win, he has to bring over Democrats to the Republican side. He's got to bring those hardcore libertarians and conservatives over, and he's got to be able to bring everybody together. So the election, by far and wide, one of the biggest stories of 2015. Now, as we try and figure out what is happening to our as we try and figure out what's happening to some of our technical issues here, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, hopefully we've been able to hash them out, get some of you on the air, because that's what I want to hear. I want to hear from you guys about what you guys think are some of the big stories of 2015. When we come back, that's what we're going to do. We're going to continue with some of the big issues of 2015. We'll be right back.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order. Some crowdfunding sites are too liberal and keep more for themselves. Even worse, if they don't like you or someone gets offended, they'll cancel your campaign. But not at RWNJ Funding. They hold true to conservative and libertarian values. Plus, they won't cave to the PC crowd. More importantly, they believe in you. RWNJFunding.com. The right cause, the right values, done right. RWNJFunding.com.
Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're back. Sorry about the technical difficulties. You know, this stuff happens live, and we try our best to handle things as they come across. Hopefully you're able to hear me. If you're able to hear me, please say something in the chat room. I want to make sure that you're able to hear me. All right, awesome. And by the way, if I forgot to mention, please join us in the chat room right now. There's two different ways to join the chat room. You've got the staffordvoice.com/listen live, or you can join us over at k98talk.com/chat-room. Okay. Oh, Slick, you're hilarious. Haha, funny. Okay, speaking of something funny, and it's not really all that funny, but I want to play this for you while we're still able to send out a signal. Because every time I hear this thing, I laugh. It's hilarious. This commercial that we got our hands on is by far one of the funniest ones we've been able to, like I said, dig up. And hopefully you're able to, if you're in the chat room, tell me what you think. Also, you feel free to call in at any moment, at any time. Our call-in number tonight is 913-440-4889. I'd really love to hear from you and hear what you think some of the top stories were of 2015. And actually, we got a caller coming in right now, so we'll pause on the skit here coming up. Hello, who have we got?
This is Jonathan Daniel. How are you, man?
Hey, what is happening?
All kinds of good stuff. I'm just sort of listening to the show, and it said dial in when you're ready, so I'm not sure if you're on the air right now or waiting through a commercial.
No, we're ready. You're on.
Okay.
What do you got?
Good. Hey, man. Good. It's good to hear from you. Hey, did you see that article earlier? I think it was late last week or earlier this week. Actually, today's this week. Sergeant Bergdahl, not putting in a plea. He's avoiding a plea at his first courts-martial.
No, I missed that.
Oh, you missed it. Oh, my God. I was going to email it to you. I said, he's probably already seen it. Wow. I understand he's avoiding entering a plea at his courts-martial with the Army and for his desertion charges in his time in Afghanistan. But the interesting thing this article brought up was the interference that the administration has brought into this whole process. Absolutely unbelievable, Daniel.
It is. It's unreal how... Look, my mind can't even wrap around the whole story of Bergdahl. I'm actually reminded of when his parents were standing in the Rose Garden on each side of President Obama. And the whole thing was really weird to me. And it just screamed, pay attention, because there's a story behind this whole thing. So, yeah, I mean, the Bergdahl story, that was a big story. I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, I kind of put it off to the side for a while myself, but, as you and I both know, we served, and desertion is a major, major thing. It's not just, hey, you know what, I don't like my job here at Hamburgerville, I'm just going to go quit and go do something else. No, it's not that. You're at risk of putting your fellow soldiers in jeopardy. If you're captured, you can give in critical intelligence. It's your standard operating procedures, your patrol routes, what you do and how you do it. And as was indicated in the IG report, that the enemy, the Taliban, changed their tactics after they had Bergdahl in their custody, and that was a major concern for the life and safety of those soldiers that were there. You know stuff. You can do stuff. And you have the knowledge of how the Army is doing stuff and what their mission objectives are, and that is critical information to those who want to disrupt what our mission is there. And I'll tell you what, I just don't have any words to put it in context for those who haven't served. This is life and death. The most important person to me in the Army is the one next to me.
Right.
My battle buddy, and I'm putting his or her life at risk when I get captured, or when I say something inadvertently in a civilian context, or if I'm in theater and I say, you really got to watch what you say and do. And boy, I tell you what, the fact that this administration's interfered with something as critical as a desertion in a time of war, man, I tell you what, this speaks volumes of the lawlessness and the extent. I don't think America realizes how our freedoms and liberties are in jeopardy. The guy just wasn't happy. Maybe he shouldn't have been in the Army. Was he given a psych evaluation? We don't know. We assume he went through his normal indoctrination, went through his basic, went through everything. But, it's not perfect. People who have problems do get through. And I just think back to my annual training this last summer. I had a soldier who was needed a psych evaluation by the time I had them for about a week, and this person was not stable, and I had to get them out of the operation, get them out of the training environment, get them off deployment in our training area because they were not safe to be around. They were a danger to themselves and those around them. And unfortunately, when you have a soldier, and thankfully there are far and few between, but you did get them. For the sake of your unit, for your safety and safety of your soldiers, you've got to remove them. You just got to get them out of there.
Well, and you got to do it for them too.
Absolutely. You betcha. And why that wasn't caught, I don't know. But, there's a lot more to this case, and it's going to come to light.
Right. I think it's going to be important to hear and to know his fellow squad members. What did they really witness? I want to know what warning signs were dismissed because of the theater of war. I can't help but wonder that some of these guys were just at fault as he was. I mean, not to the extent, but if you see something and don't say something, you're just as liable. I mean, that goes back to that the Dietrich Bonhoeffer quote, where to not say something is to say something.
Yeah, exactly. You're supporting, by not saying something, you're supporting the dysfunction that is killing you, your family, your country, whatever it is that you're doing. In an example that I had this summer, we actually had a major, an 04, who was promotable, was relieved of his command during a series of unfortunate events, which I don't want to discuss, involving this junior enlisted, and unfortunately resulted in the major losing not only his promotability, but frankly his career in the Army. So, not saying something, not moving things up the chain of command, whether it's NCO's fault, they're on the field, or complaints that get ignored by command, it hurts everybody. It really did. And now, luckily, in my situation, this was a civilian event. This was not a contact with the enemy. This was not a combat situation. This was purely a civil support mission. But the results, the fatigue, the situation can be just as serious sometimes. And the fact that one soldier can do so much damage to a mission, to a command, this stuff is taken absolutely seriously. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Walk didn't get up. I would love to know those details.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll ever be disclosed, unfortunately.
No, they won't.
But hopefully you adjust going forward. You're able to see what we did, what went wrong, and that's all part of the after action review anyway. And so, I mean, it's part of the military. After everything happens, you go back, you review everything, and the next time, hopefully you're able to fix all those issues. So let me ask you this, and this kind of goes into one of the other big stories that I've got for 2015, the Islamic State. Which out of these three issues, which one do you think was the biggest of the year? The Islamic State, Black Lives Matter movement, or the election?
God, as far as the 2016 campaign versus ISIS versus Black Lives Matter, I'll tell you what, in my perspective, a lot of them are related. They're all tied together. But I will say, in my mind, the most important issue is the 2016 election. And let me tell you why. ISIS, and to an extent, Black Lives Matter, those are pretty much an external threat. It's the internal threat. It's the one that's inside that I think really can do the most damage to the most people. And what I mean specifically is the lawlessness of this president. I believe it was Cicero that said, the enemy outside the gates can be known by the flags that he bears, but it's the enemy inside who presents kisses and favors, who can destroy from within. I'm paraphrasing here. That's not the exact quote. But I tell you, we do more damage to ourselves as a nation when we fail to lead.
Right.
And when you have this absence, ISIS in Iraq is Black Lives Matter here in America. When the police pull back, because everything that they do is under a microscope, they're gonna pull back to a degree. Black Lives Matter is going to fill right in. Hey, we can protest with immunity. That's exactly what ISIS is in Iraq. The army's pulled out, military's pulled out. There's a vacuum. They're just going to fill it right in.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to leadership, and you look at the election. Do we really have a principled person that we can all get behind that will take us into 2016 and try and right some of these issues?
Oh, absolutely. Well, we both know it's not going to be Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. That's the antithesis of leadership. But Daniel, who's really in charge of this is God. Yeah. God has the final say on this. It's so easy to lose hope and say, gosh, Donald Trump was a Democrat until about 8 months ago. Now I'm sure he has conservative leanings. Is he going to be the kind of president that we need, or is he going to be another Paul Ryan who is rah-rah, pumping the pom-poms, and then as soon as he was given an ounce of power, he turned around and became Boehner Jr.?
Yeah.
And, is that going to happen? I don't know. He seems to be in the lead at the moment, but as you and I know, these things can change in a heartbeat.
They can.
Donald can do something,
and you touched on something that not a lot of people are, and that's the whole God issue.
Yes.
Whether you want to say it's a testy issue and a lot of people just take the hands-off approach. But if you've actually studied the Bible and what that book says, you will realize that a lot of the stuff that is happening today was long time ago. We were told there are going to be rumors of wars. There are going to be antichrists that come before and try and turn the hearts of men away from God. And I'm sorry, but if you look a lot across the geopolitical landscape, and I'm not just focusing here on the United States, you look globally, so many people's hearts have been turned away, and the adversary is getting stronger. And we all know that the time is drawing near to a time that was foretold again, that Christ is going to come again. And it's going to be that big battle between good and evil. It's going to be between right and wrong. And I think so many people are dismissing that.
Oh, and that's I tell you, that's the biggest crime in all this. We're losing sight of what's important. That yes, we do have a voice. Yes, we're participants. But when I see conservatives chewing up other conservatives on social media, well, I'm for Trump, and if you're not a Trump person, you're blah blah blah, or whatever the next other popular candidate is. You know what? You're just playing right in the enemy's hands. You want to attack each other? You don't have a force. As Christ said, when he was accused of being a demon driving out other demons of demon-possessed people, his answer was genius. Why would Satan attack Satan? If Satan's kingdom is divided against itself, he's finished. And I think that's true. If we are fighting ourselves, we're done. And it's staying to the truth, Daniel, is spot on. Let me ask you a question, Daniel. How does the Federal Reserve train its agents to spot counterfeit money? The answer to this is very important.
I'm going to defer it back to you.
No problem. They train them by putting in front of the real, genuine dollar bill, $20 bill, dollar bill. They study every line, every mark, the paper, how it's made. They know it so well. Any counterfeit can pop out. They don't train them on every type of counterfeit. They train them on the genuine deal. And why that question and answer is important, Daniel, is knowing our Constitution, knowing our rights as citizens, but knowing God and his purpose for our country, our lives, that there is hope, is important. Otherwise, when we don't understand what reality is, we fall for anything. We fall for free stuff by Bernie Sanders. We fall for hands up, don't shoot, which is a lie that's been perpetuated. When we lose our ability to discern right from wrong, truth from fiction, we really are done. And how we get past this media who simply refuses to tell the truth is every voice that can repeat the truth against all these lies is what wakes people up, changes hearts and minds.
Yeah. I would totally agree. And I really like that analogy of when you want to know what a counterfeit looks like, you really have to know what the true one looks like. And if you don't actually look and have hands-on experience with a counterfeit, you'll probably miss it.
Absolutely. And the counterfeits show themselves when you know the truth. And that's why history is so important. This is, I can't speak for you, but that is my passion for history. It's lessons learned by other people. When I went through BCT, I remember my first sergeant was telling me, when he actually asked the class, who's the most valuable teacher? And everyone said experience, the next guy up ahead of me. And the first sergeant said, well, experience is a good teacher, but the best is somebody else's experience. And I've never forgotten that statement. Because in this business, you gain experience sometimes can cost you your life.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to throw one back at you. Okay? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Jesus.
Jesus who?
Okay, now I got to tell you, you just failed.
Okay, go for it.
That was it. It's actually not really a joke, but if you're not paying attention, and this hit me like a ton of bricks a couple of weeks ago, we had a conference at church, and as the guy was talking, that idea came to me. You know, the whole knock-knock joke type of thing, where if Jesus knocks on your door, are you going to say, Jesus who, or are you going to open it without a second guess?
Good point.
So it goes back to your, that kind of goes back to your counterfeit
Spot on, man.
idea,
Absolutely.
man. I love that. I love that thought. We're gonna have to reevaluate that. We're gonna do something with that one. I like that.
Well, brother, we got 2016 to take it on. It's gonna be an awesome year next year. I'm right there with you.
It is, man. I'm super excited. I don't know if you've heard, but we're expanding. We're going to 2 nights a week. And I know that you are a warrior out there. You're helping us share the message. So, look, let me end by saying this before I ask how people can find you out on social media. I want to tell you this. I am super grateful that you are not only a listener to the show, but an avid supporter, and you are a true friend, you know, to not only me, but to my family as well. And I'm very thankful for all that you do. You're a rock star, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, I got your 6, brother. You got it.
I got it. So, how can people find you on social media?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at @ArmyJohn. I'm not a Facebook user, so I don't have a Facebook page at this time. You can reach me there. It's the best way to get a hold of me.
Awesome. All right, John. We're going to let you go. Please stick around because I want you to hear this little spot that we got. It is hilarious. So after I kick you off here, give me a few seconds. I'll cue it up so you can hear it too. This is just absolutely hysterical.
Awesome. Well, I'm on it, brother. You have a great night.
All right,
God
you
bless
too.
and happy New Year.
You too, buddy.
Bye-bye.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was our good buddy, at Army John on the Twitters, and he doesn't do the Facebooks, but you need to keep your eye on him because he has a strong voice. The guy knows his history, keeps me on my toes, and he is awesome. I love having him on my side. Okay, we've stalled long enough. We're going to play this. I really hope you guys enjoy this. Check this out. Were you invited to the New Year's Eve party only to find out you've got nothing to wear? Well, we've got you covered. Show up to that party complete wearing this year's Jihadi New Year's kit. From head to toe, you can be the explosive centerpiece of the party. Go from rag to 72 virgins in this stylish tuxedo, complemented by a suicide vest with quick pair Bluetooth technology.
Wow, look at that. Check me out.
What about me? Ladies, relax. We've got you covered as well. This stylish black burqa will help all the Jihadi Janes in the room jealous. Be the life and death of the New Year's Eve party with this year's Jihadi New Year's kit. Hurry, don't blow it. Act now. Start the year with a bang. All right, we're back. Sorry. Man, you know, when I did that, I've played that thing to myself probably 1,000 times, and I laugh every single time. Oh, holy crap, that is hilarious. All right, you are listening to the Stafford Voice. I am your host, Daniel Stafford. And if you, look, we've got an open line tonight, so if you want to call, feel free. Our call-in number tonight is 913-440-4889. Again, that's 913-440-4889. So we were talking about some of the biggest stories of 2015. We touched a little on the election. we've got some serious candidates out there, and I think it's a little too early. I think you guys can figure out who I want to be our nominee and who I ultimately think is going to be an extremely awesome president. I think that if you've listened to the show at all, you've been able to figure that out. I'm not a trumpet blower. I'm not a big Ruby. I just don't much care for rubies. I definitely will cut down a bush with a chainsaw if needed. But, two other ideas are Black Lives Matter movement, which is still relatively young, but I think it's been percolating for quite a while now on the sidelines. And then we've got the rise of the Islamic State. Black Lives Matter. Let's talk about that for a minute. How is it that they're able to do what they're doing? I really don't understand. It really does puzzle me to no end. I really don't understand it. I mean, when you get out there as a quote-unquote movement, and you force people to resign because they don't announce that they don't announce something because they're too white or whatever reason, I'm sorry, but your movement really lacks a lot of purpose. If you can't articulate your points without... Look, they can't. They get out there with poster boards and they hold up a sign that says Black Lives Matter. And your argument is, I want free college. Sorry, but you really don't make a lot of sense. I don't know about you. I thought it was a big story, and I think it's only going to get bigger because we're seeing a lot of other groups pop up and claim to be part of the Black Lives Matter movement, the bowel movement, I guess, if you want to call it that. But the other issue is the Islamic State. That was probably by far one of the biggest stories of the year of 2015, and it's going to roll on for quite a while because we have lack of leadership. We've not given our military proper rules of engagement. Our leadership has no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to lead. He doesn't. But at some point, you've got to stand behind your military and just take their word for it and say, okay, if that's what we've got to do, that's what we've got to do. Am I advocating for boots on the ground? We've got to have a ground game. We've got to have air support. We've got to have naval support. Unfortunately, there are negatives to fighting a war, and death is one of them. But, call me crazy. I think that we could have done something a long time ago to curb the rise of the Islamic State. So, I think we're going to take another quick break. And when we come back, we will talk about... What are we going to talk about? Have we got an On This Day in History? We sure do. We've got an On This Day in History. We've also got a Who Said That segment. So, We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, that's what we'll do. We'll cover some On This Day in History, because this one actually was really cool. I had a lot of fun looking this one up. So, we'll be right back.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
This is JD.
And this is Stacy.
Join us Tuesday nights, 10 p.m. Eastern for Game On. Remember,
lock up the children and the old folks.
Game On, the home of libertative conservatism.
Where no one is safe, no one is spared, not even the hosts.
Oh, that was supposed to be a spin cycle. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. We love you anyway. Right round, baby.
Self-monitoring
right
Ebola
anyway.
radio strikes again.
Anyway.
Anybody see the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? Where's the host monkey? For God's sake, I need an antidote. Just do your rant. Let's pop out of the segment.
Has to do with
Find us on Twitter at JD and Stacy.
You're listening to K98Talk.com.
Whether you're an employee or business owner, when it comes to the correct course of legal action, it's the first step that is important. And make that first step with attorney Ted Hong. You need someone you can trust and has the experience you need when it comes to workplace and employment law. If you've lost your employment due to discrimination, false accusations, or being denied benefits, you need Ted Hong. Or if you're an employer who wants to ensure compliance with workplace regulations and labor contracts, you need Ted Hong. Ted and his team also cover family and property law and estate litigation as well. Ted has over 30 years of experience, and him and his amazing legal team will provide you cost-effective legal consultation and make the experience all about you and your needs. For more information or to set up a consultation, contact the law office of Ted Hong at 808-933-1919 or visit tedhonglaw.com. Ted Hong, an experienced and principled attorney you can trust. 808-933-1919 or tedhonglaw.com.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, we're back. That's right, you're tuned into the Stafford Voice. I'm your host, Daniel Stafford. If you forgot what our call-in number is, we don't normally do this. We don't normally open our phone lines, but I wanted to make this last show of 2015 really fun and really engaging because I love you guys and I really want to hear from you guys. We've got another caller calling in. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, Daniel, it's Gary, Slickery Trigger.
What's up, Slick?
What's happening?
I don't know. What's up with you? Talk to me about your holsters. How's that coming?
Oh, it's coming great. We've made a lot of progress. We have a workshop built in a gun store here in Lake Worth.
Sweet.
So we're doing really well. We went over there at Trinity Ordnance on Black Friday, and they wouldn't let us leave, so we've been there ever since.
That's good, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've been doing good.
So, what do you got for us? What's your biggest story of 2015? What really hit you this year?
I don't think it's any one specific story, but one thing that sticks in my mind about 2015 is that if you look at, and I said it in the chat room a minute ago, Black Lives Matter is a clear and present threat here in the United States. ISIS is the equivalent of Black Lives Matter on a global scale. And the problem with that is, and another point, it's not just a United States problem. Every government of every country in the world is behind this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
You've got so many other countries that are allowing people to say, no, give me more while I give you less. I mean, you look at the European countries, they've been doing it for years, and look at where it's gotten them.
Right. And see, what we're seeing is a global move to socialism. I mean, we all saw it coming with the United Nations. Yeah, but what these governments have figured out, and what the United Nations has figured out, and what they're working behind the scenes, is that they are never going to get all of the countries into socialism. They're not going to. So now they're going to have to force the issue. And now we're starting to see warfare on civilian populations, while the government of that civilian population denies that a war is going on.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to take it.
You mentioned rumors of wars. This is what we're seeing here. Yeah. We're seeing government-sanctioned warfare on their own population.
While they take a step back and just let the unrest happen. So then they can eventually come in and take over and put more sanctions on guns, for instance. I know that's a big, hot topic right now, and is gun control. And look, from the foundation of this country, we used these guns to secure our liberties, to secure this nation and make it the greatest of all. We used guns for good. Guns can be used for good and evil. We happen to use them for good, not evil.
Exactly. So here's the thing. One of the ways that governments are most effective at pushing an agenda, and that's what we're seeing, is they're pushing an agenda, and they all seem to be pushing the same agenda, is they will allow things to deteriorate to the point that the whole country, the whole population is screaming for them to do something. They create a catastrophe, and then when the people of that country scream for the government intervention, the government comes in and takes their freedom.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing with the Democrats and with gun control now. They are allowing these terrorists to come into our country and kill everybody, and then their answer to it is not to ban the terrorists, their answer to it is to ban the guns.
Right, so we can't defend ourselves and defend our country at that.
Exactly, and they have to listen. For them to put the final stone in place for the New World Order, and for them to put the final stone in place for this global governmental system that they're trying to install, they have to disarm us.
Yeah.
They can't do it if we're armed.
I couldn't agree more.
Yep. So, I just my thinking on 2015 has been hurry up and wait. Hurry up and wait for the election of 2016, and maybe, just maybe, enough people will figure it out and realize, hey, they're lying. All of them are lying, and that we'll do something about it.
Yeah, I can't wait for the opportunity to fully expose some of the things that have gone on right underneath people's noses without them ever even imagining what was happening.
Right. Yeah. And, you know, the problem is if we get, and the election thing is so screwed up right now. I'm looking at it, and I'm really not seeing a way that Hillary Clinton doesn't win.
Well, I mean, it's a hard argument, man.
I'll tell you why. She's not gonna win by winning the hearts and minds of the American people. She's going to win by the tactic of divide and conquer.
Right. Cause so much division within the ranks of Republicans and conservatives, and get them to fight so much that she swoops in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, it's a hard thing, man. It's just, and then all you can do is sit back and wait. And sit back, vote your conscience. Vote for the candidate that you believe in your heart is the right candidate. And I'm not going to tell anybody who to vote for. I'll tell them who I'm going to vote for.
Yeah.
But vote your conscience and watch what happens. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I totally agree, brother. Okay, so how can people find you on social media? Where can they find out more about these holsters that you're putting out there?
Well, they can find me on Twitter at SlickeryTrigger, and they can check out holsters at rebelroadtactical.com.
Awesome. All right, brother, I'm going to let you go. We're going to cover some on this day in history, so you're going to have to tune into that one. This one was really, really cool. So hopefully you can stick out for that.
I love that part of the show.
All right, buddy. Thanks for chatting. I'll talk at you later.
Happy New Year, brother.
You too.
Bye.
All right, folks. Here's what we're doing. We're going to talk on this day in history. And back in 1793, we had an American hero that was arrested in France. Say it's not so. Yes, that's right. Now, he was charged for treason, although the charges against him were never fully detailed. He was tried in absentia on the 26th of December and later convicted. He was extremely influential during the American Revolution, and afterward he moved to Paris to get involved with the revolution that was happening in France during the French Revolution. But the political climate turned against him, and he was arrested and jailed for crimes against the country. Now, don't take this the wrong way, because when he first arrived in France, he was received with a pretty warm welcome. And it was even granted honorary citizenship by the leaders of the revolution, and up until now, or at least up until that point, he had two well-known writings. Now, these are widely known: Common Sense and The Rights of Man. Well, the leaders of the revolution really enjoyed The Rights of Man, but he ran into some heavy opposition. He was strictly opposed to the death penalty under any circumstance, and he was pretty vocal about being opposed to the French revolutionaries who continued to send hundreds and hundreds of people to the guillotine. Now, during his time in France, he would begin writing a new book called The Age of Reason. And this was a provocative book, to say the least, and because it promoted an idea that God did not influence the actions of people and that science, and rationality would prevail over religion and superstition. You know, the whole ideology clash of liberal versus conservatism, or of conservative, that we see today. Well, despite the turning against him, he stayed in France because, after all, he thought, honestly, that he was helping them. When he was arrested, he was taken to Luxembourg prison. It was formerly a palace, and this unlike any other prison at the time. While in prison, he continued to work on The Age of Reason, and meanwhile, there was a general uproar in America over his imprisonment. And it took every diplomatic connection of future President James Monroe to get him released in November of 1794. But it didn't take any time at all before he was despised here at home. When The Age of Reason was published, he was called an antichrist, and, well, his reputation was pretty much ruined. But it was on this day in history, the 28th of December in 1793, that Thomas Paine, yes, the Thomas Paine, was arrested in France. Okay, now we've got just a short few minutes left, and we're going to end the show, as we always do, by an episode of Who Said That? That's right. It is time for Who Said That. And if you're new to the show, Who Said That is a segment where we highlight someone. Doesn't matter, Republican, Democrat, liberal, conservative, libertarian. It doesn't matter. If you are saying something completely stupid, we're going to call you out on it. So, this guy fits that mold, and you'll recognize by his voice. And this is his reaction to not voting at the omnibus vote. What was that? A week and a half ago? This is what he said the other night on Greta's show. Check this out.
Because that sort of bill is a typical Washington move. They went behind closed doors. They cut this deal. They sprung it on everybody. They said, here's the take it or leave it vote. The outcome was predetermined. And I'm not running for president, so this never happens again. So we were in Iowa, and we were working hard because we're going to win this election so the American people are no longer subjected to these kinds of votes where the outcome is already predetermined. And at the end of the day, it's an issue there was no transparency on. It was put together in 48 hours and rammed down the throat of Congress. Well, Greta, again, I was doing something, and that is running for president so we don't have to keep doing this in the future. I want to win this race so that we have a president that doesn't force us to take the garbage that was in that omnibus that was passed last week. A lot of those things that are in that bill are because we have a president that will not sign it unless it has his pet projects and the things that it had in there. Like,
okay, listen. I'm going to just stop that guy right there. I'm sorry, but you were elected to do a job, and that was to be in Washington to vote on issues. It doesn't matter whether it was predetermined or not. You still need to do your damn job and vote. Oh, well, you didn't want to vote because you're running for president. You know what? Ted Cruz was there. He voted. And I believe there were other people there that were out doing very important business, and they were able to vote as well. Look, Ruby, you're not the red slipper, okay? You're not the magic carpet ride that's going to bring us back from Oz, okay? Hop on your little kite and fly away. Go back to Florida, sit at a campfire on the shores of the beach with Jebediah Bush singing Kumbaya. You're not wanted. Have a nice day. You know what? That is all the time we've got for this week, and God willing, the Stafford Voice will be back next week, and next week it will be 2016. We've got big things coming up for 2016. I'm super excited. Follow me on Twitter at Stafford Voice. Look me up on Facebook, searching for The Stafford Voice. Email your questions, comments, or concerns to thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Thank you so much for your time, and until next year, thanks, and God bless.